So let's start the session now. Thanks for joining the session for everyone. So you're proudly starting the Atlassian Visakhapatnam Chapter, and this is the first event. My name is Chaitanya. I'll be the host and the speaker. We'll also have in Subramanyam, who is the co-host, who is the author and speaker of Atlassian. So welcome again for the CI/CD with Bitbucket and Bamboo. Hope the screen is visible. So I'm making the full screen. You can put in any questions in the chat. In brief about myself, I've been a trainer and consultant with 20 years of IT experience on multiple cloud and DevOps technologies. I've conducted 200 plus technical trainings on cloud, DevOps, Docker, and Kubernetes. I present multiple webinars on cloud, DevOps, and other technologies, certified in AWS, Azure, Alibaba, and DevOps and Jenkins. Now, what are we going to learn today? So you're going to learn in very brief about what is Bitbucket, features of Bitbucket, how to work with a Bitbucket in which you can create repositories, you can create branches, you can pull and push the repositories on local onto a Bitbucket. We'll look into very brief about what is continuous integration and continuous delivery, and how to work with the Bamboo server and Bamboo cloud, and how to use your CI/CD pipeline using Bamboo server. And we'll see some demos in between so that you can understand the concepts of what is we are learning in here. The first one is about Atlassian Products. So what is Atlassian? So Atlassian is a company which has lots of products of DevOps. So they have in products for management, which is your Jira. They do also have in tools for collaboration like Confluence. They do have tools for collaboration, talking about CI, which is specific to Bitbucket, and CI/CD is your Bamboo. They also provide you other products of security. So let me show you in brief about what are these products and how to access these information of Atlassian. So this is a product of Atlassian.com is the homepage of Atlassian, in which you can click on the products. There's a page in which you can understand about what is Atlassian, what services they provide. They provide you agile services. They also have good practices, and they are quite a big company. They have lots of branches across the world, and you can have a look of the tour from this website. So let's look into the products. Click on products. This is where you can see about the different types of products, what Atlassian supports. So starting from Jira, which is a project management tool. Let me click on this and show you in very brief about what is Jira. So Jira is all about how you can manage your projects using agile practices. You could start for free, in which you can go ahead and create your plan, and you can track about what is the project status, who's doing the what, all the updates. You can have it under here. You can also integrate this with your CI/CD, for example, in your Bamboo or with your Bitbucket integrate, and you can keep track of the changes, what is happening in your projects. You can define workflows, or you can choose the workflow templates given by Atlassian, and you can start using this. So for example, you can create an issue or a project which is open, then you can update the status of in progress, what is under review, and you can have approval to be done, and at the end you can complete your project. And you can easily integrate with the existing tools. So it's quite flexible and quite integral. Very brief about Jira. So this is the first product. The one which you're going to look into, you also have Confluence. So Confluence is all about how can you share documents or with others and people who are working from different places, how can integrate the work to be done. So you can create workspaces using Confluence, and you can share the information and templates, the documents quite easily using your Confluence. Just an overview about Confluence. So if you want to learn more, you can look into and get it free, and you can sign up more about this, and you can start learning in here. It's all about how you can have in the teams details in one location, that is your Confluence. So for today, we are going to look into more into Bitbucket. and in Bamboo. So what is Bitbucket? So Bitbucket is central repository. If you have worked on GitHub, it's very similar to a GitHub, wherein the teams can have a common repository on a cloud. So like Bitbucket vendor, you can have a repository saved on this, and all the team members, developers, they can push into this, and whenever they want, they can download the code on their local using Git. It also support Mercurial. Using this, they can work offline. So Bitbucket is not only just for code management. Talking about it has also integration with other products. So lots of advantage you get in. The first one is it will provide you unlimited free private repositories, which is not the same. For example, in GitHub, you don't everything is not free. You need to go for a pro or other licenses. It provides integration with your project management tools of Jira and Trello, and you can also build in small pipelines of CI/CD using Bitbucket. So it supports all these options. These are main use cases. And you could have in the code review done, you can go ahead and write in the code inside this, create a files, you can do a commit of the files, create branches, lots of development work you can do within your Bitbucket. So I'm going to show you how to use this right now. And you have good integration of the tools, Bitbucket, Jira, and the ones. Let me log into my Bitbucket. I've logged into Bitbucket. So first time you log in, you want to come into, you can register a free account. This is where the website in which you can go to Bitbucket and register in here, or register for the demo in here. And I click on continue. And this is how I log in. Once you log into Bitbucket, you would see all the repositories, what you have created it. And you can also see the pull requests done by different developers. So what is pull request is something, if each developer works offline, yes, and they want to merge the main code, then they can ask for the pull request to be merged. And anything, if you integrate the Jira, you can also see the Jira issues in here. This is all the screen of first time the Bitbucket looks in like this. And I can go ahead and click on plus, and I can create repositories, workspaces, projects, snippets, all these things. The first thing is you want to go ahead and create a project. So you already have a workspace. So if you want to have multiple workspaces, you can go ahead and can create a project. So I can create a project like 10, give a project name, and define a project as a public or a private for the options you have. So private projects are something completely restricted. Public is something anyone can access this. And you can modify the icon of it as required. Click on create a project. So I already have it. So I'm going to do a different one. Click on create a project. So once the project is created, the next one is you want to create a repository. So click on create repository. You choose the workspace, which workspace in which you want to build it, and go choose the project and choose report name. So let me give a report name of today's date. And either you can create a public or a private repositories. So what is public and private repositories? A public is something it could be accessed by anyone, and private is which is restricted. So you can define whichever you want. And the advanced settings, you can go ahead and put in description, and you can also choose some languages using which you can work on it. So I'm just creating a default one in here. I click on create repository. So this is the first step you want to do it in your Bitbucket. Now there are lots of commands with which you can work with the Bitbucket. So let me talk in very brief about different commands, what all you can do. So this is your Atlassian cheat sheet, which has all the different commands. So Bitbucket works with your Git on a local or it can also work with Mercurial. So on your local, you can work on a Git using these commands. So you can create a folder and initialize it using Git init. And if you want to download the repositories of a Bitbucket, you can do a clone. And all these operations, you can work with a Git and Bitbucket, the same as what you work with a Git and GitHub. So we are going to look into a few of this. So we're going to look into how you can clone your repositories from a Bitbucket on your local. We'll try to add some files on a local, commit some files, and we'll push those files on to your remote repository. We'll also learn about how to create branches. All this thing I'm going to show to you now. So this is a document which I want to refer. Let me talk in very brief about what is this. So first one is we are going to create a repository. It supports both Mercurial and Git. We are going to create repositories, and we are going to look into how the repository looks. All this option we're going to explore now. And we are going to create some files on a local. Clone the repository. And we are going to clone it on a local. Go into the repository, add some files. So when you work with Git, you have an option where you can work offline. So Git also provides us something called a staging area. So we'll add in some files to staging area using git add, and we'll see the status of what is it to check whether it is in staging area or committed, and then we'll commit the file. So it goes from your staging area to the commit one to your local repository. And how do you share with others? You want to commit to a central repository. For that, you want to do a git push. This is the workflow. So first time repositories, you have repository of your team. You want to first create a repository, have the contents. The developers would clone the repositories on the local. They add in the files, they stage it, and then they commit it, and then push it to a central repository. This is a workflow, how you work with your local and your remote repositories. So I'm going to pause it here. Any questions you can ask me before I do the demo. I just want to understand your basics. You can use the chat to ask me any questions. Okay, so a question by Aditya is, what is the difference between workspace, project, and repository? So workspaces, I can have in one repositories, for example, for a different complete segregation for a business unit, I can have a workspace. And for each business unit, they can have a project. And inside the project, you want to create your specific repositories. Am I clear? Aditya? So, any other questions, team? All right, let me continue. So let me do this demo on a high level. So I'll go back to this one, and we have created a repository. This is a repository, and this is my local. This is my local. So now I would go to the default one. So this is the I've launched my Git and in this location. Now, as a developer, how do I get in those repository files? So first time you want to go in here and you want to do this, clone the repository. Local. So it gets you the folder. And we do a ls now, and I do a repo 22 and blah blah. It is going to show you the file. This is how you download the content if it is there. We're not under content. This is how you download contents from your remote repository. That's what the clone is going to do it. The clone is all about how we can get in those files inside this. And I can do a ls-al, and you see those files, what you see in your git ignore. So these are some metadata files. You saw those files coming into your local. This is how the first thing you want to do it. Now, how to work more on this? Let's try to add more. So either I can add a file in this or a local. So let me first add a file on my local and then push it back to this. So for that, I will create some test files. So let me create some blank files, examples. I have some files inside this. So now I need to add this to a staging area. So either you can do like this or one test, all files, you can do it in here. Now you want to check where is it right now. So we added it now and do a git status. It's going to say you that it is added to a staging area, but not committed. So now what I do, I need to do a commit. So I do a git commit with a message like first time commit. Committed it, and it says the permissions and what files. And now I can again go git status. You see that nothing is to be committed. And once I'm done, I can just use a push, git push. It's going to auto authentication in here. It's got pushed. So now let me refresh the files in here. You see the files has been coming. This is how the first thing you want to add. Yes. Now, apart from this, what all things you can do? It's not that always need to go. I can also add in some files directly inside this. So I can click on add a file in here. And I can say that I want to add like a file 3. So I can put some kind. This is a test file. And I click on commit. So I can commit it either locally or directly in your Bitbucket also. So once this is done, how do I get back the changes onto my local? For that, you use something called a Git Pull. So you want to use a Git Pull command for that. So let me try to show you how to use this. Let me get in this URL. If you do not want everything to be changed, I just go to that folder, do a Git Pull. So run this command. I'm inside that folder and do a Git Pull. So once I pull, you see that a file has been coming, and do a ls, the file has been coming. So this is how you can work with your remote and your local by doing a pull and push. So there's still lots of commands, but these are important commands you want to understand. You want to first understand what is clone does, what is pull does, and also fetch also an option. You have option for adding the files, status, and commit. So these are things you want to start off. Yes, I'm pausing in here. Any questions? Are we clear on these? Any questions as of now? Yes, it's more like segregation. Good morning, everyone, again. So I've added it here. So you can, again, I go back in here. This is what I see, all the commits. So how do I know what commits was done? All those commit details you could see under this. So you can click on the commit and ID and then getting more information about what was committed. And if you want to get information about what are the files, the source of it, you can click on view source and you can go and see what files were committed onto this. So commits are going to give you the history of the various commits you did. And you can see for either a single branch or all branches, I can see it because we have only one branch. I'm going to talk about branches now. Now, how do I create branches? So if there is a main code, if you want to modify or make an entry to the main feature of it, how do I do it? I can create branches, either on a local or on here also. So I can create a branch. So let me say that I want to create a branch one. So from the master, you're going to create a branch, and you can go inside the branch and make the changes as appropriate. So now create a branch. Now I want to go to click on view source. It's taking me to the branch file. Whatever files were there, it is going to get added automatically from your master to branch. So still options where if you do not want to add it, that's fine, but you have default options. And I can go ahead and add a file on my branch also. So this time I'm going to add a file on my branch. So I'll say that I want to add a file like a branch file. And this is a branch file. I commit it in here to where? To my branch. Now, if you want to merge these changes to the main branch, it might have in some conflicts because multiple people might be doing the same, do not want to interfere with that. So the remote repository tools give some options wherein you can create a pull request and the approver can approve it or reject it based on what is happening. This is where you want to create your pull request. So you create a pull request stating that you want to merge the code to the main branch. So I'll say that please merge the changes, and you can add in the reviewers whom you want them. So for example, I have in my own, so you would put in the reviewers details of this, and the approval goes to them. So I've said that create a pull request. So every developer, okay, I need to add in that to the specific ones. So I need to add it. So this is how it goes to it. We're going to make some changes. It'll go to the specific requester. And once he approves it, then he can do a merge of it. This is how we can create a, well, I'm just going to create a merge and do it and to add in the permissions of to it. So you can do a create a pull, other ones, all this thing you can do. So I can again go back to other repositories which I created in the morning. So I can again go back to repositories of source. And I had in some repository which I created in the morning. Let me just show you that. Let me go back to home. So morning I created a few of them. So there's a one. So I already have the permission for this. So let me create a branch in here. And then add a file, click on merge. It says merging. So you can do all these things automatically. So you can create pull request, you can do a merge, all these things in your once. And once you merge it, you're going to update in the main branches. So we learned about merging, we learned about pull requests. Apart from these, you can also create a pipelines. So I'm going to again come back to pipelines later. In very brief, pipeline is all about how you can integrate your development. For example, written a code, you want to do a build of it, test of it, everything, you can directly do it. The pipelines in your Bitbucket, you have an option where you can just click on one pipeline. It's going to give some options from where your code is there. So simple example, my code is in your master, for example. And I'll say that I want to run in a small pipeline. So once you run the pipeline, it is going to give you some steps like this. And it is going to go ahead and run in the steps, what is there in each of those jobs, and it's going to deploy the application. This is how it works in the backend. I'm going to show you again of these in detail when you work with your Bamboo. On a very high level, these are all the pipelines would be something like this. Apart from the pipelines, you can also do some small deployments inside this. We're not going to do it. And how do you integrate with your Jira? Yeah, so this is how it looks. So let me again go back to the main repositories and show you how to integrate with your Jira. So I'll go back to repository and click on Jira issues. The first time it looks something like this. And you can integrate, 1 minute. Yeah, this is the one which you created. I go to Jira issue the first time. It will not be integrated. I think already done before, so, and hence you can also go ahead and integrate in here also. And for each and every repositories, so let me integrate in here. You can also do a manually link projects to Git to your Jira. You can do all this thing from in here. Now, settings is wherein you can go ahead and give access to others. This is where you can give access to others, the repositories. Uses access keys for adding the access keys in here. You can provide permission of branch levels, different strategies for merging. You can define under this. So you have in different options for merging. One is merge commit, squash, and fast forward, different options for merging. You can do some automated actions using webhooks. So if any changes happen in your Bitbucket, you can have it built to be done or trigger some other things to be done using the webhook. You need to add in the webhook and define what you want to do it once any specific repositories or changes has been done in the Bitbucket. So this is your options for viewers, all the lots of options you have, which you can explore. So this is on a high level, how we can work with your Bitbucket. Any questions? I can take in more. So you can still go ahead and share the codes using snippets. You can create some codes and share with your others using snippets. And you also have other options in which you can, they talked about the workspace. You can create multiple workspaces inside this, and you can start creating your projects. This is very brief about how we could work with your Bitbucket. Any questions in here? Let me take the questions in here. Just give me a minute. Any questions, team? Are we clear how to work with your local and how to push to your central using Bitbucket? So apart from this, you can also download files directly from your machines. For example, you have some files, you can click on add files and download them onto Bitbucket directly from this. Lots of options they do provide. And if you want to learn more about it, just click on help and you get more information about how we can access this. For example, Bitbucket tutorials gives you lots of information about how we can start working the Bitbucket. This is what I'm referring in here. You can also look into how it works with your pull request in here. So this is in brief about Bitbucket. This is what we saw. So GitHub is very similar to talking about. So they do also support Mercurial these days. They also started supporting this. You have free unlimited. GitHub private is started this one. And integration, they have very good integration. They also integration GitHub. So you want to understand the difference between them. And this is what we looked into. How to create a project, repositories, how to clone repositories, how to add in the files, and what are the options you can have: commit, merging in here. Now let's start learning about what is continuous integration and continuous delivery. Now, DevOps is all about continuous integration and delivery. So let's consider in an enterprise how the flow of DevOps works. So product team or the pre-sales team, they interact with the customers or the clients. They get in the requirements of what is required. So based on the requirement, the development team, they would use some tools like Eclipse, Visual Studio, or other tools as required, any tools of IDE tools, they use it and they create the code. And next one is your build. How do they share with others? So you want to have in a local like Git, in which once I create a project inside this, I can have a copy of that project on my local. I can make changes and I can push it to like GitHub or Bitbucket. So with the Bitbucket, you can integrate with your Jenkins or Bamboo, like using webhooks or polling your code or remote repositories. You can have auto build to be done. It is not that you always want to use this. You can also have standalone, like your Maven, you have your MS build, separate build tools you have, or easily integrate with this. And then it will go for your testing, in which you can do a functional testing, non-functional testing to check in the code and to check whether how many users can log into a server without any issues on the servers onto which you're going to deploy the application. And you would have a proper deployments using Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes deployment. And then it's your monitoring. So these are the different phases of your DevOps. So we are talking more about this right now. Yes. Now we are going to also look into this stage right now as to how I can do auto build, as well as how I can have the entire cycle to be done using tools like Bamboo. That was CI/CD. So CI is all about how developers are committing the code, but if you don't have an automated action to be done, it's going to take a longer time. For example, if developer make changes in the morning and it is doing a build in the evening or the night, it is going to have some issues for sure. And you have to again tell them to make the changes. This is going to make a longer time. And hence you want to use some auto options that will continue integration. When as soon as the developers commit the code, it is going to be built and tested. And if any feedbacks are required, the feedbacks will be sent back to developers. Developers can make changes. That is called as continuous integration. Because of this continuous or automated method, enterprises are able to understand where exactly the issues and able to resolve the issues very soon. And you can add new features as required. Now, it takes a longer time for doing your continuous integration, all these things. You want to do a manual. And it might also make in some error messages. You might make some error messages. This is where you want to use something like a delivery, like a pipeline, which I can define all those separate jobs and I can have something to be done like this. I can have something like this. All these I can define and I can create a continuous delivery or a pipeline. So it's going to do stage by stage and it's going to create my deployment application and it's going to have in my application ready. There's your pipeline. So because benefits of CI/CD is all about smaller code changes. So whenever developers make the changes, we're going to build and test it. Since the debugging time is going to be lesser, we are going to have the issues quite resolved faster releases, and customers are happy. So every company these days are working on some CI/CD concepts using any tools. They might be using GitHub or Jenkins. I'm talking about Jenkins, they use it, or they use Bamboo tools of Atlassian product. So every company, Facebook, Google, all the companies, they use this so that they can make the changes quite faster. Now, what is Bamboo? Any questions in here? Are we clear what is CI/CD? Any questions on what is CI/CD and what are the advantages of using CI/CD? Any questions in here? Neeraj, Sharan, others, any questions? Are we clear what is CI and CD? Okay, I don't see any responses. Let me continue. Now, Bamboo is a similar tool you can think about like a Jenkins, which can do a CI and CD. So you can install Bamboo on any platform. It's open, so it's going to provide you on Linux and Windows. There are multiple options in which you can install it. So where it is used for Bamboo, it is used for automated building and testing of the software code. And you can get in the notifications, and you can get in alerts what is happening, and you can you can have a release management to be done quite easily using Bamboo. Now let's look in the Bamboo product page. So I go back to the same page of the products in which you can see the information about all the products in here. I click on products and you click on Bamboo. So it's all about integration and release management. You want to use this. So I can have a continuous delivery. This is what is talked about, from a code to deployment. So I can take in the code once it's committed to Bitbucket. I can do a test of it, and I can do a deploy of it. I can also have it released to the production to a production. But normally for productions, you would have manual approval at the end. So I can do all this thing, test of this, deploy, and I can integrate with lots of other third-party tools for build. There are lots of third-party tools in for build, like a Maven. You can also do the code deploy. Lots of options it gives you for deploying it. And you want to understand why difference between a Bamboo and Jenkins. Both are very similar, but you might want to understand why you want to go for Bamboo. Jenkins is a very common CI/CD tool, which is more open source. But Bamboo is not open source completely. You want to remember that. So for first 30 days, you get an access with a free trial license. After that, you have to buy some licenses, but Jenkins is not the one. But it has lots of enterprise features which Jenkins doesn't provide. So you have built-in Git branching workflows. You can create a project insight quite easily, integrate with your project management tools like Jira. You can also keep track of issues, what is happening, and you can have a built-in Bitbucket server integration. So Bitbucket, either you could host it on a Bitbucket cloud, like what we saw in the browser. You can also download a Bitbucket server. You can also have a local Bitbucket configuration on your local servers, and you can have it done. So all this could be done using a Bamboo server. This gives more of enterprise features. And these are differences where you want to understand. The deep developer tools integration, built-in deployment support, and you can work with any, for example, they support you using EC2s very easily. So you can go ahead and create an EC2 instance, for example. You can create a Ubuntu or Linux. You just need to run one file. One command is going to completely deploy your Bamboo for a free trial. You can just do it. Automated merging. So you can do automated, as I talked about, it supports both Git and multiple branches. You can define workflows. You can create a projects. You can create plans. And using those plans and projects, you can have a continuous integration delivery to be done quite easily. And it's all about enterprise support. So in Jenkins, it's more of community support. You need to look into Jenkins community website and go ahead and understand what the issues. In this, you get in support in which you can easily have the issues resolved quite faster. So these are some advantages why you want to go for Bamboo compared to Jenkins. So let me again come back in here. And this is all about your integration. Integration is what is your ones. So you can download in directly if you want to do it on your local. You can do it. Click on download now, and you can set up here. So click on this download now, and you have options for 30 days. You can download it on a Windows. You have different options. You can run it on your local, also you can run it in here. Or you can also start installing your Bamboo on your cloud, like your EC2 instance or other platforms. It supports all the options. So when you click on for Teams, these are all the details. Now, I've shown the product. Let me go ahead and talk about how does it work. Your start part. So what is CI in Bamboo? Same. Developers, they work offline and they can commit to a Bitbucket, and you would configure configurations like a plans and projects in your Bamboo, and you can ultimately do a build, test, and deploy as required. That is your CI. Let me talk about more about this. Let me open the link of this to the link which has been given for you all. So you're talking about your integration. So this is what is Bamboo is going to help you. Automated, very easy to manage your bills, and you can automate the deployments. So for that, what you're supposed to do? First thing is you are supposed to create a project. And once you install Bamboo, you're supposed to create a project. And inside the project, you can have multiple plans to be done. So you can define how you want to be done, all those things. And in the plan, you can define stages. So let me show you. This is what I'm talking about. First, you create a project. And for one project, I can have multiple plans. Why multiple plans? Because I might want to have one plan for my test environment. I might have to have one more plan for my dev environment or for a prod environment. So I can have separate plans for each of them. And for each of these plans, I can have some different stages. So this could be for my build stage. I can have one for testing, and I can have one for your deployment. And for each of these stages, you can define what you want to run, the jobs. And for those specific, what you want to achieve, you can define task, and you can have the work to be done. That is what we're talking about in here. First one is your project, multiple plans. Second one is I can have a plan as to how I want to be done. Then for this, I can define the stages. And each stages can work also parallel. It's not that you want to always have separate. You can also have each stage to be run parallelly. And each stage, you want to have some specific jobs to perform using task, you would do that. And what is task in very brief? It is about small things what you do. For example, you want to get in some Maven compile or Maven build codes to done. These are called as tasks. And job is something you can say that Maven build job, something like that you can define. And you can define where you want the outputs called artifacts in your jobs. So all this is how you do it. I'm going to do a small example of how it works in detail. This is what is your CI/CD server. So once you configure it, once you commit anything to Bitbucket, it can do a build, test, everything automatically. For this, you want to create a project and a plan and stages as required, so that each one executes as required. Now, let me show you how to install this. Let me have some links. These are the details of how we can work with Bamboo. So how to get started? So you can install Bamboo on Linux. You can install Bamboo on Mac and Windows. So I can click on this. It talks about how to deploy it on a Linux. So there's a steps for deploying on a Linux. We have some steps. So download the files, create directories, and you can start doing this. This is one option. Second one, you also have an option to work on Windows. You have options to it. So one thing you want to install. So what I've done for the use case here is I have installed it using a EC2 instance. Let me show you the steps. So I have done something for a wizard. This is what I've done it in here. So this is a wizard which I have run it in here. And I'm going to do this. So what I've done, let me access my Amazon account. And I click on EC2. I've created a Bamboo server installation on Ubuntu. I've installed that using a script of S3. This is your script which is there. So I've installed this using this jar file. So download this jar file inside the Ubuntu box and install the Bamboo. So what we'll do now is we'll take a short break, team. We'll come back and again I show you anything questions on this. I can show you now again back. So I'll show you how to install after the break and how to configure it. This is how it will show you once you install your Bamboo. One minute. Yeah, so I'll show you the steps for how to install it and how to use the Bamboo after the break. Let's take a quick break in here. Before the break, I'll take in some questions and show you about how to work with the Bamboo after the break. Any questions? Any questions, team? Shall we take a 10-minute break in here? Team, am I audible? Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break in here. And after the break, I'll show you how to install and configure Bamboo. Hi, Sharon. Can you hear me? You can use the chat. I will not be able to give you permissions to speak. Could you please post your question in the chat, please? We'll wait for 5 more minutes, 10-minute break, so you can ask me questions later also. Hi, Sharon. Okay, so question by Sharon is whenever Bamboo build fails, how can I get notifications automated through Jira? So, Sharon, you have to configure notification options in your Bamboo. Yes, you can do that. You can do that. I think I'll show you that option once after 5 minutes. Once your session, I'll show you that option. Once you configure it. Aditya, please confirm you're back from break. Hi, Bhavesh. Any questions? Sajid, any questions you have? Okay, so Aditya is back. So how to install what I've done is what the steps has been done. So let me explain to you what I did for installing Bamboo. So you can install Bamboo for 30 days, a free trial. So I use the steps for this. So on Amazon, you want the steps are this in which you want to go ahead. First requirement is you need to have an Amazon account. You need to have access to your access keys and secret access key, your information of it. Then what you do is you want to download this file, download this jar file from here, and also ensure that you have Java installed on an Ubuntu instance. So you want to spin up an Ubuntu instance in Amazon, and inside the Ubuntu instance of 1604, you want to run this file which you downloaded, Java file. So which I have given an example as to how we can do it. So you can put in a URL like this, and you can have it downloaded inside your Amazon EC2 instance. Once you're done with that, you want to run a command like this. And once you run the command, it is going to start the configuration screen. So it'll ask details about the licenses. First one, you enter the licenses once you register for the free. Then it'll ask you details about the URLs, that working directories, all the information you want to configure this. You give the base URL details. So either you can put as local host or you can use the IP of public IP of your Ubuntu server, for example, and you confirm it. Once you're done, it's also going to use, it uses Postgres SQL internally. So you want to use a Postgres option, and you get an option to just go ahead and just continue. Once you're done, you're going to have in your user screen in which you can put in the user's name, password, what you want to set up, and you can do that. Let me show on a high level in case you're new to Amazon. This is where you want to go ahead. So you might want to click on launch instances, and you go to marketplace or a quick start. I think it was found. So you search for Ubuntu 16.04. So you have lots of versions. So you want to choose something like 16. You see 16 version. You click on select. You go ahead and complete it. This next. So you want to click on next. You want to see the default VPC. and then you add the storage. Default, no changes. Give a tag name. So you can give a tag name as required. So you can save it. For example, I want this as my Bamboo server. And you want to allow all traffic because you might be working on multiple applications. You want to choose all traffic anywhere and review and launch. Launch it using the key of Amazon or create a new key under launch instances. So this is how you launch your instances in Amazon if you're new to Amazon. And once you have the instance, you can log into it and run those specific steps. So this is my instance. There's two things with it. So let me make it this a one, so the different one. So once I've logged into that, I can go ahead and run in those specific commands. So using that, I have configured this. So I've configured the same method. So once I'm done, I logged onto this box, and you want to run in those specific commands for downloading the files and running these commands. So once you do that, it's going to have your Bamboo console ready. So I've done the same, and I have added it before the break. So once I ran everything as per the document, you would see a screen like this. And this is how you log in. Default password on login. So once you log in, the first thing is going to ask you to create some plans. So I can create some plan in here. So my first project, so let me name this plan. And you can give in the description. So previously linked or link new repository, for example. You choose from where. So there's a Bitbucket. I choose a Bitbucket and give a name of the repository, repo name, for example. Access, so I want to choose a public one. Then owner, so I give my username and choose a repository. So choose a repository of your accounts, and you get an option. So you can also test whether you're able to connect to those directly in here. It's successful. The first thing is you want to create your plan. So click on configure plan. First, once you're done with this, you might want to go ahead and put in a specific task. You want to click on add a task, and you can define what you want to work. We're not going to do completely because we're not here. So I can choose, for example, I want to use your and I can choose and, or if I want to use something like Maven, I have options, lots of options we have. So depending on your requirements, you can choose any of this. So click on add task, other options. Let me just show you what are the options you get in for others. So for your builds, so all these things, you have all this you can integrate. So separate your builder tools. These are all the build tools. Co-deploy with Amazon. I can use Maven and all these things to which I can do a build of it. I can integrate with my test, with my JUnit, Mocha, YenUnit, PHP unit. All this we can define. And for deployment, you can deploy it using your Tomcat or code deploy, all these options. And for source control is wherein you can get it from your repositories, either from a main or repositories. You can do all these things, the options. So for this, we're not able to do it completely. I'm just going to show you a high level. So first one is your account is ready. And once the account is ready, this is what we did, all this thing done. So you will have some examples in this link. So you want to work with your Java and Bamboo. Click on it, and you can see details about how to create a project, how to conduct repositories. This is what we did. Afterwards, you need to define the build details, configure the task, all these things you're supposed to do it and have it completed. This is how you would go ahead and do that. So for which you need to do lots of options, which will not be do it in here. This is how it works. So you can again go back and define the build plans, deploy stages, anytime specifications, lots of options you get in with your Bamboo. So specific to notifications. So in your notifications, either you can go to the user management inside this. And you can set up the notifications under configurations as required. So let me just show the notifications. So you can go ahead and put in all the information. This is what we looked into. You can go and modify all this information as required. Specific to notifications with Jira, I have to check something. I'm not very sure, Sharon. I'm not very sure how in Jira. I don't have Jira installed. I have to see that. Yeah. And if you want to learn more about a Bamboo, you have the documentation. The link which I'm referring for documentation. So first thing you want to get started, you click on get started. This one you use. Now let's see using Bamboo. Let's click on viewing topics and learn about these. The Bamboo CS server. The same thing is coming here. So this is where you can learn more about a Bamboo. And if you want to learn more about configuring plans, you can click on this and you can start looking into more. This is what we did it in here. Yes, team, any questions? We do not have a complete demo of this. Just want to show you how you can manage with your Bitbucket and a Bamboo. Any questions? This is a high level what we are covering today. Yes, team, any questions we have? Okay, so yes, Aditya, we'll share the links. You also have the links in your reference links. You already have the links. So we'll still share some more links through along with the PPT recording, also sharing some more links. Yes, Aditya, I have added you in all this thing I'm going to share with you. Anything else, team? Any other questions? So how to here? So if you want to start with Bamboo, you click on try free first time, and you get an option to download it in here. This is one option. If you want on a Windows, you want to choose this. But the best option is you want to use an Amazon. What I showed you is quite easy. Okay, which question you have? If you're not good in AWS, we talked about, you can also download directly from here. So what you can do in this case, if you're not good in your cloud, you can go ahead to download in here and click on Windows, for example. Click on Get Started. There are multiple options. Either you can directly download it on your machine and install this, or you want to use within your cloud. So different options for installing, you have options. So for that, you click on Getting Started. and it gives you steps about how to configure on different environments. So these are the steps for Windows. It has all the steps for this is how Windows. Let me again give the links also for reference. So Windows on a long premises, these are the steps. You download the ones, and then you go to the directory, and then you do a localhost 8885. This is one option. But it all depends on your laptop, what ports has been blocked or not. You want to check. And the reason normally we do not go onto it because you need to have all the ports enabled. This is one option you can do it. Second option is you can also use a Windows installer. So you want to create a folder, and then you can go ahead and do it. The last one is using your zip drive. So you have different options for doing it. But the easier one is using a cloud for test. You want to use Amazon, very easy. You just go ahead and do it. If you want, I can show the demo of it right now. If you want to show a demo of it, I can do it right now. Yes, team. So this is all for today. For any questions, you can ask me. Any questions? So do you all work on Jenkins? Okay. Thanks, Aditya. So if the